on whether he will be staying or he will be heading elsewhere. And other big news out of the NBA, Chris Paul dismissed last night from the Los Angeles Clippers while they're in Atlanta playing the Hawks tonight. Him and Ty Lue apparently had some beef. This report has been furnished by Genuine.
And let's get it going here on a Wednesday. What's going on, everybody? Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over. Ben, we got a lot to get to today on a Wednesday afternoon. First of all, I'm back at the board somehow. I don't know what I'm doing here. There's a lot of buttons. The studio's changed so much. Sammy Long is up in Los Angeles for the next couple of days. Is that right? Is that where you are, Sammy? Sammy can't hear me, so that's good. But it is San Diego.
Oh, I got you now.
Okay, Sammy, you're up in LA for the next couple of days. That's what's going on.
Yes, we're up doing some things for Kogo up here. So
how you doing back there in SD?
Oh, we're just doing peachy, man. It's good to hear your voice. It's good to see your face, kind of. You can watch the show on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760, on X at Fletch and Sammy. And we're going to start off today with kind of an unexpected story. So sort of coming out of nowhere, but all of a sudden, here in 2025, the Padres ownership questions coming into play. There's a new name that has entered the group chat, and that new name is Joe Lacob. So Joe Lacob owns the Golden State Warriors, is worth around $2.3 billion. And a report comes out yesterday late in the afternoon that Joe Lacob could, in fact, be interested in buying the San Diego Padres, or is at least linked to the San Diego Padres. So I first saw this on NBC7 here in San Diego. And it doesn't say necessarily that he's interested in the Padres. It says he's always been interested in owning a Major League Baseball franchise, and he's a proven winner. He's been a proven winner with the Golden State Warriors, obviously, with the dynasty that has been up there in Golden State. But could this be the guy who swings in and purchases the Padres, and would everyone be okay with that? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. At San Diego Sports 760 on YouTube. Check in with us there. But I first look, Sammy, this is hard to say no to if Joe Lacob is interested in owning the Padres.
Oh, 100%. I mean, this would be the best thing that ever happened to this franchise. I mean, you have a group who, obviously the Warriors, if you look in terms of NBA terms, have been one of the most winning franchises in the last 15 years with the dynasty they built. And you have someone who is willing to spend money. Like, this is what, Fletch, we've been going back and forth and talked about it. There's been concern, and justifiably so, that someone's going to come in and buy the Padres, and it's going to be kind of a game, and rich people want to own rich people things and not really taking it serious for the city. Well, this is a guy who wants to win, and he talked about it. He was in an interview the other day talking about, like, I'm all about winning. Like, I got money. Like, it's not really about money for me and owning something. This is about winning championships. We've already accomplished that in the NBA. This could be the best thing that ever happened to the Padres. I mean, this is the kind of ability to go spend like a Dodgers, like a Yankees, like a team like that, where then all of a sudden maybe you're not, losing free agents 2 hours up north. This is the best news that's happened out of the whole search that we've heard so far.
So he owns the Warriors. He also owns the WNBA team, the Golden State Valkyries. Would this mean Steph Curry is in some part either a part owner or at least a part of the San Diego Padres? Because sign that up immediately.
He'd certainly be on recruiting trips.
Well, it'd certainly mean at a certain level you get Steph Curry playing at Torrey Pines a couple times a year, which who would want anything more than that? But Joe Lacob is the latest name attached to the Padres. Who knows? This could be rumor mill. Apparently, he tried to buy the A's back in 2022, but maybe in 2025 here, that's exactly who the Padres need. Now, if from Joe Lacob's point of view, you look at this and you see where baseball is headed here in the next couple of years, and that might not be an attractive purchase. It's also saying he's worth $2.3 billion, which is that really enough? Like, Sammy, you say these things talking about how, this is the guy who could come in and just spend. And spending is just whatever someone's willing to do. Like, if he's willing to come in and put up the big money and absorb these contracts that the Padres already have, that's great. But is he going to be willing to come down here, absorb those contracts, and continue to add to the team, all in pursuit of a championship? That's another story. But as of right now, Joe Lacob is the most attractive name I've heard, who actually at least has some sort of interest in doing this, and not just a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk or all the things that we all throw out.
I think, though, and it's fair. I get where you're coming from. Like, you wouldn't be one of the richest owners in Major League Baseball, but you take a guy, like, look what the Dodgers did, Mark Walter, and then he gets out to the Lakers. Like, and they already clear out the entire scouting department. Like, they're already making changes to go win. At least with a guy like Lacob, he's about winning. And if he's not going to buy the team to just kind of have it sit there and be like, I own a baseball team. Because a lot of owners in professional sports, and the NFL is a lot more hands-on, but the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, they just have kind of their toes in everything, and it's kind of just about owning something. Lacob, from watching his interview, it sounds like the guy's only interested in possibly winning, which is the best thing that happened. He's probably not going to buy the team if he doesn't have investors and backers that are really going to go purchase, knowing that your number one competition is the Dodgers, who spend money like a heroin addict. So it's not, I mean, like, if you're going to get into the business, and he's obviously wanting to win, he's succeed in the NBA, if you're going to try to break in the MLB, I'm assuming he's going to have those backers. But hey, I'd rather have a guy that's interested in winning than some people who it just seems like it's just, business as usual as long as they sell out Petco Park.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now for reference, Mark Walter, at least these reported net worths, which who knows how accurate they ever are. Mark Walter, who owns the Dodgers, and some Lakers as well. He's worth $7.3 billion. That's going to go up, right? He's the guy who acquired the Lakers also from the Buss family.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to go up. But you look at Steve Ballmer, he's worth over $100 billion. So like, that's kind of the difference we're talking about here, with $2.3 billion for Joe Lacob. Look, it wouldn't be a bad thing. The dude has proven to the Warriors. He's signed Steph Curry to $1 billion extensions. He signed Draymond Green well past when he should have. He's at least willing to go out there and do whatever it takes to win. And hopefully that is maybe something that could be coming San Diego's way. All right, we're going to get to the big three in just a second. Big Stan Lazinski is going to be joining us coming up at 1:30 today.
Yes, sir.
This is the playoff push. This is the final week before the postseason in a lot of fantasy football leagues. It could even be the first week of the postseason in some fantasy football leagues. So you're going to want to tune in at 1:30 today. Get your questions in on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. If you have fantasy football start-sit questions for Week 14 with Stan Lazinski, he's our fantasy football expert. You can find him at dynastypricecheck.com or on social media at dynastypricecheck. But Stan is going to be jumping on in just a little bit. So get your questions in at San Diego Sports 760 on YouTube. With that, we are going to cross our fingers and hope this works because we're logged in under my profile here in studio and dangerous things could be happening right now. But Sammy, well, Fletch, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Okay, it worked. Sammy, where are we heading with the big three?
All right, literally broke a minute before our show. So breaking news out of the NBA, Giannis and his agent are meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks to determine if his best option is to stay in Milwaukee or possibly get traded. This comes after earlier today, Brian Windhorst reporting that he actually requested a trade in the offseason, but then committed to this season. But with the Bucks being 9-13, looks like he's on his way out. Not where is he going to go? What team do you think would be the best fit? Where should Giannis want to go? If you take away trade packages, take away all the stuff, what team should Giannis want to go play for?
See, it's tricky. So you look at basketball, and I might look at it a little bit differently than a lot of people, because the answer for where should Giannis go if he's looking to win a championship this year is going to be different from where should Giannis want to go. So you look at the West, because that's most likely where he's going to end up getting traded. Thunder on top right now. Lakers right behind them, Rockets, Spurs, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Suns, Warriors. That's the postseason, right? Is it 8 or is it 10?
Yeah, 8, but you have to play in between 6 to 10. Yeah, 8 teams.
Right, so those are the teams we're going to be taking seriously here moving forward. For me, if he wants to go win a championship, can you imagine a team that has Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo on it? Because that's otherworldly, and that fits in with the personal life stuff too as well, of him wanting to play in a big market. But I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't want to go to the Lakers because they got the drama of the LeBron maybe final season, maybe not. I would want to go to the San Antonio Spurs if I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo. First of all, playing in Texas, you're going to have an awesome market for you. You are going to be on Campbell's Soup ads anytime soon. But you look at what the Spurs have built with a young team, with an excellent distributor of the basketball in De'Aaron Fox. And I look at the Spurs as a ridiculous, attractive landing spot for any free agent or guy who's going to be traded at the trade deadline. I'm going to the Spurs.
I like that. The Spurs would make sense because they also have the young collateral. You have Dylan Harper, Spawn Castle, one of the bright young guards in the NBA. They could get that deal done and create a big three with Giannis, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby. And you'd be hard-pressed. I think they would shoot to the top along with Oklahoma City Thunder as favorites in the Western Conference. Selfishly, I'd love to come to the Lakers. I would love to see that. But the best fit, though, if you're looking at in terms of if I'm Giannis and I'm looking at
outside of going to the Lakers and being paired with Luka for the next 5 to 10 years, going to the New York Knicks, what he would be able to do, the Eastern Conference is down. It's not as competitive as the West. You don't have to see the Oklahoma City Thunder until the NBA Finals. Who knows? Maybe there's injuries. Maybe someone actually beats them in the playoffs.
Would the Bucks trade him in the East?
That's what I'm getting to. I think the Knicks package would have to be so much more than everyone because you're going to have to see him, and they're going to be dominating the Eastern Conference. But if I'm Giannis, I get to pair with Jalen Brunson, maybe Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, him and Jalen Brunson would be a dynamic duo, and the fact that the Cavs haven't been as good as we thought they were going to be. Boston kind of blew it up. Jason Tatum out for the year with the ACL injury. Halliburton's not there. Like, you talk about an Eastern Conference where outside the Pistons, there's not a ton of young talent outside the Pistons and the Magic. You could really dominate there for years to come. Whereas if you are in the West, if you're in the Spurs or the Lakers, something like that, you still are going to have to contend with Oklahoma City. You're still going to have to contend with teams like that. It'd be a much easier path, kind of like LeBron had for years when he was in the Eastern Conference, and there was just kind of a free path to the championship.
If we were in Vegas right now, where would you want to put money on for Giannis's next team?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the Lakers' odds are going to shoot up. The Lakers are going to call. I think the Lakers are going to wait till the offseason because they want to try to keep Reeves in the deal or offer more picks. I like your Spurs. I think the Spurs, if you look at in terms of draft picks and collateral, the wild card is that the Thunder actually have the ability to get the deal done. I just don't know if anyone would trade him to the Thunder to literally win the next 5 NBA championships.
And would the league step in at that point? If you're going to step in and block the Chris Paul trade to LA a few years ago, or what, a decade and a half ago at this point, that feels like something you might want to do. But what are the odds like one of these teams that are kind of on the fringe, like the Warriors or the Grizzlies, can make a package together to bring Giannis over?
Literally just came down 5 seconds ago. Knicks emerged as the only team that Giannis has expressed interest in. First option on him.
Whoa, Sammy Long was right. All right, what's next, Sammy?
All right, we're heading to the NFL. Big Ben Roethlisberger was on a podcast.
It's his podcast, the Footballin' Podcast.
Oh, yeah. Suggests that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, it might be time to part ways from each other. Throws his name around actually for the Penn State head coach opening after Kalani Sitake kind of spurred him and signed a contract extension with BYU yesterday. He was the front runner for that gig. What do you think of Mike Tomlin? What do you think of these comments first? And then do you think Mike Tomlin at Penn State would be a smart choice?
There is some connection. I think Mike Tomlin was on the coaching staff at Penn State at one point in his career before he made the jump to the NFL. Not positive on that. I thought I saw something on that earlier. But look, Big Ben, talk about a guy who loves to have his day in headlines. Talk about a guy who refuses to just go out of the limelight. It's Big Ben. I do think he's right here. And I also think James Harrison said something similar, a former Steeler. I think they're right here that this isn't only the best thing for the Steelers, this is probably the best thing for Tomlin. It's a long time that Mike Tomlin's been in Pittsburgh, and eventually the message runs dry. And this year is the perfect year for the Steelers to actually do this because the defense hasn't been good. They need a bit of a reset. They need to get rid of some of the contracts on the defensive side of the football. And for Mike Tomlin, look, you've dominated the NFL. You've been the one team that has not had a full rebuild, that hasn't had those seasons where your fan base just has to plug their nose and look away. But you haven't been great once over the last decade. So can Mike Tomlin go to college and reboot? He's still a young guy. Mike Tomlin could absolutely start a new reign of dominance at the college level. I don't think that's a bad fit at all for him to go to Penn State.
Starting with the Pittsburgh thing, I've always thought Steelers fans were crazy for wanting to get rid of Mike Tomlin. I will say this year it does feel like I don't think this is a shot at Mike Tomlin. I think this is simply sometimes you can hear a voice for too long. He's been a great head coach in this league. He's had a winning record every season. The Shots have a winning record again this year. We'll see they got a big game against Baltimore on Sunday. But it does feel like maybe it is time. Do you fault Mike Tomlin for Arthur Smith calling run plays on 3rd and 10? Is that Mike Tomlin for hiring him? Or is it the fact that Arthur Smith doesn't know what he's doing year in and year out? In the Penn State thing, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I wouldn't go to Penn State. If I got fired, I would 100% call the Giants, try to be the head coach of the New York Giants. And he would probably have a ton of success at Penn State. He's an excellent head coach. But I think we sometimes think, we've coached in the NFL and coached in college and vice versa. There are two completely different things of recruiting kids, sitting in the homes. They just had a national signing day today, going on the recruiting trail, and now with the NIL, having to keep your own players and pay them more money. That's an entirely different thing than being an NFL coach where You don't have that. I mean, you're dealing with grown men. You're not. Everyone's lucky to be in the NFL. I'm curious how that transition would go back there. If I'm Tomlin, I would stay in the NFL because I don't think you'd have a shortage of people wanting to get in.
Right.
Mac,
the question was the same. If it was the same as the Giannis question, where if we're going to Vegas right now, what are you betting on? I would bet he's staying in the NFL, not going back to college. But if there is a college job that could maybe make an attractive offer towards him, it's probably Penn State. All right, let's say big three, number 3 for the other side. Get your questions in for Fantasy Football Start Sit on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Stan Lazinski is going to be joining us coming up at 1:30 today. First break of the day on the other side. We talked about the Padres' new potential change. How about some more local sports? San Diego State makes their way back to San Diego coming up tonight at Viejas Arena. We'll talk about it on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
San Diego Sports Traffic. This report is sponsored by SDG&E.
East 78 before Center City Parkway, there's an accident at the Center Divide. Car fire apparently in the left lane of the North 5 Oceanside.
this guy's text is hilarious.
Back up there. North 125 before the 8. A mattress in the left.
You're clear, my bad. I didn't tell you.
San Diego traffic.
Did you know that
He said, "How do you feel about purposely losing so you're a homie?"
your energy use and help save this winter? Use large appliances outside of on-peak hours and unplug devices when not in use. Find more tips and energy-saving tools at sdge.com/simple steps.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death among adolescents, with rates rising alarmingly in recent years. But what if the tools to prevent these tragedies are already in our hands? On December 9th, join the Child Mind Institute's On the Shoulders of Giants scientific symposium to learn how experts are using smartphones, AI, and other digital tools to spot warning signs, respond more effectively, and scale solutions to save young lives. Free registration at childmind.org/giants.
The decade
Hey, I watched second episode of Stranger Things.
the country's most elusive serial killers. But it wasn't until 2023 when he was finally caught. The answers were there, hidden in plain sight. So why did it take so long to catch him? I'm Josh Zeman, and this is Monster, Hunting the Long Island Serial Killer, the investigation into the most notorious killer.
Hey, it's funny. Can you hop on our stream? Is it just the Wi-Fi? Because like we have a bunch of people on there, but it keeps saying retry for me.
Island serial killer. And listen now.
It's John and Jim.
Hang on.
Big hopes heading into this weekend. SDFC trying to get to an MLS Cup. San Diego State trying to continue this 3-9 to 9-3 turnaround. It did not go the way we had hoped for.
8 days after the Fletch zone.
SDFC has now officially been initiated into San Diego sports because whenever there's a team, it feels like that has the upper hand, they lay an egg. And I'm not saying that SDFC laid an egg, but even Mike Uvaras after the game said they didn't play their best match.
San Diego Sports 760. America's finest sports station.
At Valley View Casino and Hotel, there's always a reason to celebrate you. With 2,000 of your favorite slots, including the newest machines available, you can always find
What were you saying, Sammy?
any day out.
Our stream, we got a bunch of people on it. Can you just check on Twitter? Because I keep reposting it. It says retry for me, but like it seems like it's up for everyone else because a bunch of people are hopping on it. On X.
It's always the right time to visit Valley View, San Diego's favorite casino. Your destination for celebration.
Season of holiday shopping is here, and PayPal can help you make the most of your money. Whether you're checking out a new piece of tech, concert tickets, or some festive bling, you can earn 20% cash back when you pay in 4 with PayPal. From now through December 8th, no fees, no interest. But this Black Friday special offer won't last forever. Act now to get this limited time offer.
Save the offer in the app to get 20% cash back when you pay in 4 from now through December 8th. PayPal. Expires 12/8. See paypal.com/promo terms. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/pay-in-4. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
Isn't it nice to know at least one of your streaming apps is completely free?
Yeah, you get the iHeartRadio app without the pesky monthly fee.
Live radio, playlists for everything, and the most podcasts on the planet.
Join the millions who already have it. iHeartRadio, the #1 app for radio.
San Diego Sports 760. An iHeart radio station. Guaranteed human.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. I didn't know this, but apparently John Schaefer had a colonoscopy yesterday. And that's why he wasn't on the show.
Was that for public consumption?
Well, yeah, Jim said it to lead off their show yesterday. It shocked me that Jim would just put that out there, but prayers to you, John Schaefer.
Hey, he's getting cleaned out, bro.
Now, the good news is John Schaefer will be on the air tonight here on San Diego Sports 760, calling some Aztecs hoops as they welcome Utah Valley into town. It's a big game for San Diego State. Look, Utah Valley is not one of these non-conference pushovers. Utah Valley's put together a really nice year so far. San Diego State is favored by 9.5 points in this one from Vegas. I haven't looked at the KenPom numbers yet in terms of what San Diego State's expected to win by, but I would bet you it's probably around 10 or 12 points for San Diego State tonight. And for the Aztecs, who now have put themselves behind the 8 ball a little bit, this is the beginning of that climb. You got to climb back into the net rankings. And I hate that the net rankings are released as early as they are because it's impossible to get a sample size on a lot of these teams. And there's some standouts either at the top or the bottom of the net rankings right now. And that's the truth. San Diego State's in the 120s somewhere. They're not going to finish around there, but that's where they are right now. So the climb quite literally begins tonight. And it's going to be tough for the Aztecs, who have a rough loss to Troy at home. That is either going to get better or worse as the season goes on, depending how Troy does. You have the loss against Michigan, which is going to end up being a good loss, but you lost by 40, so it's impossible to call it a good loss.
Yeah.
And then the loss to Baylor, which you watch that game, and both teams were fighting so evenly, but Baylor was able to pull away at the end. And so that's going to go down as a double-digit loss for the Aztecs. And you put all that together, and that's why they are as low as they are right now in the net ranking, which is the primary metric, but not the end-all, be-all of who gets at-large bids into the NCAA tournament. There's people around the country right now that have said San Diego State will have to win the Mountain West Championship in order to get into the NCAA tournament. For me, I don't believe that's true as of right now, because you still have the opportunity against Arizona, but it is going to take winning a ton of basketball in a very short amount of time. So tonight, that's what that starts. And from my point of view, I want the Aztecs to look like Magoon Guath is healthy, because for the second 2 games of that tournament in Vegas, maybe 3 games in 3 days was a little too much for him. He was a non-factor in the final game, and he got a couple fouls early, and they were sort of stupid fouls that were totally avoidable. And B, I'm looking at them to kind of come together a little bit. That team we saw play against Oregon is there, and that's the best version of this Aztecs team. But we've only seen it once this year, and it was when they were playing against Oregon, and it was consistent in that game. But you can't tell me that if the team that played against Oregon was the team that played against Michigan, it would have been a 40-point loss, because it wouldn't have been. So can we get some consistency and top-end performance from these Aztecs over a course of a couple of weeks here? Because that's probably what it's going to take to fight yourself back in to the at-large conversation.
Well, yeah, and you're looking at, obviously, the last 2 weeks have not gone the way the Aztecs and we all wanted it to go. I think the more underlying problem, and you talked about Magoon Guath, that the Aztecs are going to go as far as Magoon Guath goes, because you saw against Oregon didn't have a front court that scared you, and the Aztecs dominated. Because I think you look at the Aztecs guards and you go, they can hold up with a lot of teams around the country. I know Bird hasn't probably gotten off to the start he wanted to in some of the guys, but like Reese Waters had a huge performance in that. Bird and Waters and these guys are going to be fine and going to be big-time players for them coming down the stretch. I think what you saw to the Michigan end, everyone got destroyed by Michigan in that tournament, but they have maybe the best front court in the country. So you obviously don't stack up there, and Baylor had a front court that's not quite as good as Michigan's, but it still kind of bully balled you a little bit. And the real only, I think, guy in the post right now that you trust is Magoon Guath. I think Heidi's got some talent. I think Farrell Compton's got some talent. But it's funny when you see them play teams with a larger front court, they have to play less guards and go a little bit more matching them. I don't know if the thing is to go opposite, kind of like the Warriors do, where they all go small ball and they try to just play you a completely different way and take you out of the game. That's something the staff's going to have to be looking at, in the future. They're 8.5-point favorites tonight against Utah Valley. Expect them to get back on track. And to your point, they got to win a lot of basketball games coming up here soon to get back in this thing.
And it's not just winning games, Sammy. It's going to be winning games by a dominant margin. This is when all the metrics will start to come into play, and you got to start getting the offensive efficiency up, the defensive efficiency up. And that's the other thing, right? This Aztecs basketball team over the last couple of decades under Steve Fisher and then under Brian Dutcher, you just never saw games finish in the 90s. And it feels like over the last 2 weeks, every game is finishing in the 90s. And that's okay. If you're built like a Kentucky and a run and gun offense who you're trying to get as many possessions as possible out of a game, and you're trying to blow up that score as high as possible and just outrun the other team. But that's not what the foundation of San Diego State basketball is. San Diego State basketball is tough, great defense, making you earn every single point. And the excuse can't just fall back of, oh, well, they had a good shooting night. Yeah, that's good sometimes, but no, not every time. And for San Diego State against Troy, giving up that many points, having a triple-digit game inside Viejas Arena is unheard of under Brian Dutcher's era.
Well, to your point, even the win against Oregon, I'm not trying to just nitpick them. It was a big performance. They won by 17. That wasn't because of their defense. They gave them 80 points. They scored 97. They had an excellent shooting night, and it's nice to know that the Aztecs can win that way, because I feel like some Aztecs teams in the past, it's completely reliant on defense, and it's hurt them in the tournament a little bit. When you do play your Kentuckys, your teams like that are going to score points no matter what, if it's the best defense in the country. It's nice to know the Aztecs can do that, but they certainly got to tighten up the front court issues, and, we'll see. It starts tonight, but when they get to Mountain West play, it's a long season. They got Arizona in a couple weeks. That becomes kind of a must-win game if you don't want to have to just win the Mountain West to get in. The Aztecs are completely capable of doing whatever they want to do, but yes, some early losses definitely has knocked them down the rankings, which is not how we thought it was all going to go early on.
And it's brutal, but that's the way college basketball is, man. These losses early in the season end up counting just as much. You just hope by the end of the year, most of them, if not all of them, are all quad 1 losses, because when the selection committee sits down, that's what they do. They look at the 3 different columns. You got the quad 1 losses, the quad 2 losses, God forbid a 3 or 4. If you have a 3 or 4, it's really hard to get into the NCAA tournament on your own unless you have some wins in the quad 1. And when you look at what San Diego State's going to be going up against week in and week out of the Mountain West, we expect it to be tough because these teams, these coaches know each other so well, but nobody in the Mountain West has really separated themselves from the pack in terms of getting one of those huge quality wins early in the non-conference that you can hang your hat on in the conference schedule. So for San Diego State, tonight becomes vitally important. Tonight against Utah Valley, game tips off at 7. I'll be on at 6 outside Viejas Arena, getting you ready for the tip-off. John Schaefer, of course, will be on the call, hopefully. We don't know how he's recovered from his procedure, but I cannot believe Jim.
You think he's not going to be ready to go?
He should be. I don't. What is it? I've never had a colonoscopy.
He's going to be fine. They don't mess with your vocal cords.
Unless that tube goes up a little too far. Jeez, man.
Hey,
right.
So what's up? So if Schaefer doesn't show up, are you calling the game tonight, or is Russell stepping in? What's going on?
I hope not. But we'll get Richard Stern, who sits right next to John and me during the game.
Call the game. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Stern will be screaming at the referees through the broadcast mic. It'll be fantastic. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Take a quick break here. Coming up next, let's get into some football action. The NFL. We haven't even touched on the NFL yet on the show today. Let's break it down a little bit. Coming up next here at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
After spending Thanksgiving in Vegas, the Aztecs basketball team is back to the Mesa. Listen to the Scarlet and Black.
Go.
Hey, Miles, how do you grab some water? To the steal, lays it off for Odin, who missed the layup inside, puts it back up and in.
Host Utah Valley. The countdown to tip-off starts at 6, right after John and Jim on your exclusive home of STSU, San Diego Sports 760, America's finest sports station.
The world needs Sesame Street. And right now, Sesame needs you. Donate today at sesame.org/iHeart. That's SESAME.org/iHeart.
I love you. Thanks for making a difference. This winter, the world will be watching the best skaters chase their Olympic dreams. For your child, that dream could start right here at your local rink. Through Learn to Skate USA, kids build strength, confidence, and courage, the same qualities that take athletes to the Olympic ice. Learn to Skate USA offers programs for...
Do you see the numbers for Cowboys Chiefs?
This is what...
57 mil.
...program near you at Learn...
57 million people watched your team get embarrassed.
And starts.
Yeah, well, can't win them all.
Vacations can wait. This is your friendly lunchtime reminder from Kaiser Permanente that no matter how busy you are, it's important to stay active. A lunchtime walk is a great place to start. Kaiser Permanente, San Diego.
I'm just glad we don't have to hear about how the refs favor the Chiefs anymore with the amount of PIs called. So I'm glad everyone got to see that in Thanksgiving.
Medical facilities. You can count on us. Visit kp.org/San Diego. Kaiser Permanente. For all that is San Diego. For all that is you.
Hey, player. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort is all yours. The hotel tower with some seriously luxurious suites. The super secret speakeasy. Hey, could you make that too? The indulgent spa retreat. Ah. And the epic rooftop pool in Cabanas. It's all for you at the
I'll do a Cowboys question on there if we want to get into it or something else in the NFL.
I'm going to bring up the 57.96 that broke the previous record by like 17 million people.
20-volt max drill.
Yeah, I think it was 50. It was 42, the last one.
$59. Valid through 12/3/25. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Visit Boot Barn today to save on top.
Cowboys Detroit this Thursday night.
Yeah, that's a kick-ass Thursday night game.
Now, where you can get $50 off all men's exotic boots, $40 off select women's boots, and 25% off flannels, sweatshirts, and select outerwear for men and women. We're also offering savings on select jeans, workwear, and kids' clothing. Visit us this week and save on top quality Christmas gifts. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
San Diego Sports.
Now.
You're hot.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Breaking news out of the NBA. Giannis and his agent are meeting
With the Milwaukee Bucks to
determine whether he should stay or go, possibly before the trade deadline. It is being reported that his number one team is the New York Knicks, per Shams Charania. In the college football playoff, Alabama moved up despite a narrow win over Auburn. Miami is still on the outside looking in, and Notre Dame dropped a spot to number 10 in the college football playoff rankings. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we will get long shots for today as Sammy builds us out a daily fantasy lineup. Sammy, did we win last night?
No, all my NBA picks hit, and college basketball sold me.
Oh my gosh. What in the
That's
world?
why you don't bet on college kids unless it's unders.
Yep, I agree with you, Sammy. All right, well, we'll get a brand new one coming up here in a little bit. But big news, and Sammy, I hate to make you keep reliving this game, but Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs, which was a 31-28 victory for the Dallas Cowboys, bottoming the Chiefs out to a 500 record here in 2025 at 6-6.
Bottoming out.
Yeah, bottoming out, Sammy. Would you not say this is rock bottom for you guys over the last couple of years?
It has been, and if they lose Sunday, it really is rock bottom.
Yeah, so the Chiefs, who have a less than 50% chance to make the postseason at this point in the year, that game garnered 57.23 million average viewers on CBS, making it the most watched regular season game in NFL history. By the way, drubbing the next one, which was, or the next closest one, which, what was the number?
Cowboys and Giants 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 42.2 million.
Woof! So the NFL is alive and strong, everybody. And just all the people that said sports gambling is going to ruin the sport, take a look at the numbers. Because man, that is a massive number. You're talking about getting close to, maybe not all the way there, but close to Super Bowl numbers. And while all the families were gathered around the Thanksgiving table at prime lunchtime window for Thanksgiving, cutting up the turkey, you can bet that the Kansas City Chiefs and Dallas Cowboys was on in the background of most households in this country. That is a massive number for the NFL. And that many people, Sammy, got to watch your Kansas City Chiefs get embarrassed on Thanksgiving.
No, I'm just happy that, it sucks. It was an awful game. I'm not want to talk about refs. I'm just glad that since it was the most PI penalties called on a team in the second half, I'm glad we can finally put to rest the narrative that Ben Fletcher and others try to put with all of their conspiracy theories that somehow the NFL is rigging it for the Chiefs. So that was the nice kind of consolation that we got out of that game.
You think I'm putting that out there, Sammy? Because science puts that out there. Science told you from the University of Texas, El Paso, UTEP, that the Kansas City Chiefs get a little bit of unfair recognition from the referees, and so that's not me, that is them. On YouTube today, we've got a couple of comments coming in. The first one from Mac Daddy says, "How do you guys feel about purposefully losing this week so your homie can make it into the playoffs? Is that unsportsmanlike and bad karma, or even collusion?" Now, Sammy, who is this referencing?
Well, no, he's saying in his fantasy league.
Oh.
He's saying if his buddy can get in the playoffs, he's playing them. Mac Daddy, please correct this if any of this is wrong. And he can take a dive for the game. My question is this, Mac Daddy. I have a couple questions for you. I'd like you to respond on YouTube. Number one, will the person he be kicking out of the playoffs, do you not like them? Number two, do you have a side deal with your boy? Like, is he taking you out for drinks? Like, what's going on? You got to get something from this. Normally, I would be against this, but how do you take a dive?
Okay.
Like, you can't not set your lineup.
Please let me weigh in here, Mac Daddy, because I'm going to think about it like this, and you tell me if you like this or not. Say in the AFC West, there's a situation where it is Chiefs, Raiders, final week of the season. Raiders have a chance to spoil the Chiefs season. Do you think that there's any shot in hell the Raiders wouldn't go balls to the wall to make it a successful season just by simply knocking out their rival in the Kansas City Chiefs? Now, Mac Daddy, it sounds like this is your buddy, and I don't know how your friendships work, but in my friendships, nothing would give me more pleasure than being the reason that one of my best friends gets kicked out of the fantasy football playoffs. I would think you should be leaning the other way, and you should be leaning the other way in a hurry.
Now,
unless this is a situation where you guys are in a league with a bunch of strangers.
But is this also, I think what the question needs to be asked, I'm assuming this is a money league. So is there some sort of backdoor deal where you're going to let him into the postseason, and if he wins, you're going to be able to get a cut of that? Like, just doing this out of the goodness of your heart, Mac Daddy, maybe you're a better person than I would want to break my friend's heart and keep him out of the playoffs like Fletch. But maybe that just says something about my character.
No, your character is correct on that one, Sammy. And you think about anytime there's money involved, I'm just trying to knock down my friends and make it all for myself. But that's just me.
Tyler says respect the integrity of the fantasy league. I think you have to.
You got to play your lineup.
I've been a commissioner before and had to kick people out of the league for a collusion. Like, you wouldn't let a trade go through that benefited one person. So I don't think you can take a dive, even though it would be funny to ice out your other friend.
Now, let me just throw this out here, because I believe there's some collusion going on in the iHeartRadio San Diego League, because 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was playing against Rich Ornberger. Rich played his lineup, beat me by 1 point. And then was it last week or the week before, Sammy, that he was playing against you? Rich had guys in there who have been on injured reserve all year long. He had guys who weren't starting in the lineup against Sammy's team, just gifting Sammy the 2 seed in the postseason. I really don't understand that at all. I'm saying Sammy might have slipped Rich some cash on the other side.
I think you need to be mad at your co-host in the morning. Listen, Rich is a busy man. He's got a lot going on. He's got San Diego State. He's got his Fox show on the weekends. Listen, if it happened to slip his mind, it was for the benefit of the common good.
Everyone has stuff. I am the type of fantasy football player who, if I notice that my opponent has somebody out of the lineup or somebody who's hurt, I will send a text to my opponent, because I don't want to beat somebody in a half-ass sort of way. I don't want to beat someone when they're not at their best. It would be like playing against, let's use the Chiefs again. It'd be the Chargers playing against the Chiefs, and Justin Herbert's not on the Chargers, so the Chiefs just take the victory and gloat about it. No, I don't want that ever happening in my life. I would want to beat my friend at full strength.
If I'm the commissioner of a couple leagues, if I'm the commissioner, I have let people know that their lineup is out of whack. In a league where half the people, like, I don't, like, I need to beat them. Like, I'm not really concerned about their feelings. I have no problem with Rich sitting half of his lineup against me.
Yeah, you had no problem with that at all. All right, we got some other fantasy football questions rolling in. Keep them rolling in, because at 1:30, our boy Stan Lazinski is going to be jumping on the show to talk about fantasy football and get you ready for the postseason here. Mac Daddy also saying, could Mike Tomlin go to the Bengals? I highly doubt it, but if the Steelers let him go, be pretty funny to see.
The decision the Bengals organization has ever made in their life.
I would agree, because Mike Tomlin would hold the ownership's feet to the fire and say, you have to get me a defense, otherwise I will not be your head coach. And then the offense should take care of itself, because you have Burrow and Chase under contract for a while. Might need to adjust the running game here in the next couple of years. Chase Brown had a lot of hype behind him coming into this year. It just hasn't worked out. And a lot of that's offensive line, but a lot of that I think is the running back as well. So for the Bengals, it would be the best decision ever. And Rich saying, I texted with Schaefer last night. He was watching Oregon versus USC. He'll be just fine.
Rich got the inside scoop.
Here's the deal. John Schaefer, one of the strongest human beings I know. Somehow, I can't imagine those bones are all that strong, but because he doesn't eat meat. But John Schaefer went essentially no sleep the entire week of Thanksgiving, and you could not tell at all on his broadcast. He did such a good job with them. You could definitely tell on the pregame, halftime, and postgame shows that yours truly didn't get enough sleep, but not for John. All right, in the NFL, a couple of fascinating things coming up this week. We got a hell of a Thursday night game. Speaking of the Cowboys, they might be on their way to set another viewership record, because Thursday night, Cowboys and Lions all of a sudden, I never took into account the fact that the Chiefs could actually lose their Thanksgiving game, which did propel the Dallas Cowboys into the playoff conversation. But if the Cowboys beat the Lions here and the schedule that the Cowboys have left, all of a sudden they are a serious potential candidate for the NFC postseason this year. And Sammy, you called that. It just took them beating your Chiefs to get there.
Yes, it came at the expense of my Chiefs, but I will take credit for calling the Bears and possibly the Dallas Cowboys. If you look at the Dallas Cowboys schedule, I mean, I'm going to read this off. So you have the Lions in Detroit. Detroit is favored by 3. That's a damn good football game. You have the Vikings coming to Dallas. Who knows if J.J. McCarthy is going to play? The Chargers, Justin Herbert is not practicing today, despite them all talking about him. He's going to be good to go Monday night against Philly. The Commanders and the Giants. Now, the Commanders and Giants are completely decimated by injury. I get there's a couple division games in there. But I think the question is like, let's just say the Cowboys get in, how many teams would be scarier than the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC playoffs if they sneak in? Because
there's not many of them. Look, I think that the Bears, if they end up falling out of their perch atop the NFC North and they end up being a wild card team, you don't want the Bears coming into your place with Ben Johnson cooking up some plays, especially imagine if it is Detroit, which it could be. Like him going back to Detroit, I wouldn't want to see that. Dallas has the offense that in any game, the defense could just not matter. Now, if Dallas has to go to somewhere cold weather, I'd be worried about Dallas more so. And Dallas on the road this year hasn't been quite as good as they've been at home. But you look at Dallas, and you're right, Sammy, they could put up 40 in any game, and that all of a sudden just wipes out anything you've built all year long.
And I think the Cowboys, we have to look at them differently. Like this team before the trade deadline would not be scary in the postseason because, yeah, they could win a game because they scored 40 points, but the defense was so bad. It was almost Cincinnati Bengal bad. But you look at the acquisitions, Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Logan Wilson's been solid. Overshown coming back has changed the entire landscape of their front seven because he's been able to tackle in open space. They couldn't tackle a running back in open space. You saw that against the Chiefs. You saw that against the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon couldn't shake him at all. So I think this team, the defensive narrative, no, is it an elite defense? It's not. The secondary has major problems. Mahomes cooked it on Thanksgiving. The Chiefs just couldn't stop anybody. I do think, though, this defense is better than it was the first 8 weeks of the season. In Dallas in the playoffs, like they're not scared of Philly. They just beat them and they took them to the mat week 1. You're looking at like the Packers can't score at times. So I think Dallas I would honestly lean Dallas in that game. The Bears are young. They've never been in the postseason before. Like outside of the Rams, I still feel like after the loss of the Panthers are hands down the favorite in the NFC. But you look at a lot of these NFC playoff teams like Dallas, you're telling me Dallas can't really make a run? Like Dallas would be a scary team, a team that I would not want coming if I was atop the NFC in the first round playoff game.
Niners might just have to do what they always do, which is beat Green Bay and beat Dallas in the postseason. We're pretty good at that. It's just the Super Bowl thing that the Niners really seem to struggle with.
If the Chiefs aren't in it this year, maybe you'll actually have a shot.
Yeah, maybe. Could you imagine if it's a Josh Allen versus Brock Purdy Super Bowl?
It'd be like the second place prize.
Yeah, literally just the two teams that can't get over the Chiefs. There would absolutely be an asterisk on that Super Bowl forever, and you can't really tell me any differently because that's what it would be. All right, we got long shots coming up next. Sammy, you got a lineup ready for us?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Sammy's up in LA. I'm down here in San Diego. We're making this thing work the best we can. Long shots on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. It's the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. And then later tonight, I'll be back with you at 6 o'clock. Getting ready for Aztecs Hoops. They got Utah Valley tonight at Viejas Arena. Tickets still available at goaztecs.com. Of course, John Schaefer will be calling the play-by-play of that game at 7. Big one for San Diego State tonight. All right, we got our buddy. Hang on a second here. FedEx Trey jumping in the YouTube chat. Saying, taking a second break on my lunch today. Miss hearing you guys more. Bear down. Trey, it's easy. Just listen to us while you're at work. AirPods got invented for a reason. The iHeartRadio app is here for you. Hit us to your number one presets. Pop us in your ear and don't even tell your boss. Don't worry about it.
That's my Laker fan right there, FedEx Trey.
We're your friends, FedEx Trey. He's also a Bears fan, which you Lakers fans don't make any sense. Like Sammy is a Lakers fan who loves the Chiefs. I don't necessarily understand
because
a Bears fan who loves the Lakers.
From Kansas City, is that hard to understand?
I get that part, but then where does the Lakers come into it? It just none of this.
I was from LA originally.
None of this makes sense to me. It really doesn't. It is San Diego Sports 760.
Ben Fletcher's the only person I've ever met from the Bay, by the way, who is a Niner fan, was a Warrior fan, stopped being a Warrior fan when the team actually got good with Steph Curry. Because I've never seen anything like that before.
To be honest, I liked Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green when they first started. It's when they added KD that I stopped being a fan of the team. My Warriors are the Baron Davis Warriors. Those were my guys, man. They were so sick. The We Believe Warriors. And then Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry, one of my favorite players ever. But once they added KD to the mix, I said, oh, well, the NBA is broken a little bit. And it's starting to get fixed. It's starting to look a little better, I'll be honest, depending on where Giannis goes. But for a while there, the NBA was broken with the Warriors just having.
You should have enjoyed your winning. It would have been fun to be a Warrior fan.
See, no, because then I'd just be a Chiefs fan, and that's what that's all about. I think sports fandom needs to come with a little bit of hurt. It needs to come with pain and sacrifice. And Sammy, since you've been an adult, all your team has done is go to the Super Bowl over and over again.
The Chiefs used to lose every year in the postseason. You don't realize that.
No, I do.
Watched the Tennessee pass back for Marcus Mariota. I watched the Andrew Luck come back down 28-3.
Right, but
the Steelers beating the Chiefs on field goals.
You were a child then. And Sammy, now that you're an adult, you're experiencing your first hardship as a Chiefs fan. And it's fun to watch from the outside looking in it. I'll be honest. All right, let's get some long shots where there's been plenty of hurt, plenty of suffering, plenty of great moments as well on long shots here with Sammy Long as he gets us ready here for another incredible day in sports. I'm trying to do two things at once here. Now, Sammy, are you in Petros Papadakis' chair as we speak right now?
Petros and Money are right across the hall from me, like literally right here. So maybe we'll have a stop by from the old P. We'll see what time he gets in.
I would love to chat with the old P, but right now it's time for long shots. If I did all this right, which clearly I didn't, there was 9 different echoes going on. Okay, here we go. Wait for it. Here comes long shots.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance.
Pay that man his money.
With long shots.
All right, Sammy, where are we going with long shots today?
All right, we got a all NBA one. College basketball was tough for us last night. Actually, I got to give Syracuse a little bit of love. I thought Tennessee was going to run a rough shot all over them, but Kion Anthony actually took Jacoby Gillespie to the mat. Kansas did not come out with a win. So got cleaned out a little bit on college basketball yesterday. We did do good with the association. All right, so I got a 3-leg parlay for all of us tonight. Atlanta Clippers, a lot of drama going on with this game. So Chris Paul, we haven't really got into this yet, but Chris Paul, the Clipper legend, the man who will have a statue outside of Staples and Crypto or the Intuit Dome for the Los Angeles Clippers, sent home. Apparently had a beef with Tyronn Lue. They weren't on speaking terms. They are playing in Atlanta tonight. They basically cut him in Atlanta, making him fly back to LA. Wow, very Clipper thing to do. Treated stars very poorly. But on the other side of this, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, more than 20.5 points. The Clipper defense an abomination. Besides the Chris Paul thing, I mean, they can't stop a nosebleed. Kawhi Leonard, you'd think would be a primary elite defender, has been for a long time, has not been the same this year. James Harden, it's a lack of leadership from Tyronn Lue. I've always liked Tyronn Lue as a head coach, but the defensive scheme, something he's supposed to be very good at, has not been good this year. I think it's going to lead to his firing. I think that's a lot why Chris Paul actually got clipped last night. But back to long shots. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, more than 20.5 points. This guy spent a lot of time in Minnesota. very familiar with the Clippers. I think he has a field day. He's hit his over each of the last 3 games, more than 20.5 points for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All right, let's go to the Knicks playing Charlotte. A lot going on with the Knicks there. Apparently Giannis' favorite destination. I'm sure a lot will be coming out as the day goes on about this. But Jalen Brunson, more than 29.5 points. Had a rough couple outings, actually, the last couple nights. Played Boston last night, only had 15 points. Toronto, the couple nights ago, 18. Charlotte's defense is a lot different than Toronto and Boston's. Toronto's one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, really surprising a lot of people. I think people just maybe don't pay attention to Toronto as much. But Ingram and Scotty Barnes, some really good defenders there. And then with the Celtics, you have Jaylen Brown. You have some elite defenders. Charlotte does not have the same level of elite defenders. I think Jalen Brunson gets back to his elite scoring ways. More than 29.5 points against Charlotte. Outduels LaMelo Ball. Jalen Brunson gets it done for the Knicks. All right, we're going with an under. Zach LaVine, Houston playing Sacramento, less than 18.5 points. I'm a Zach LaVine fan. I think Zach LaVine is a very good player, back to his days with the Chicago Bulls, and now up there in Sacramento, kind of leading the way. A lot of veteran-laden team. Kings not going a lot of places with DeMar DeRozan, LaVine, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk up there. But I'm going less than 18.5 points because Zach LaVine is the go-to guy. He's actually surpassed DeMar DeRozan this year. And what does that mean? Amen Thompson, one of the elite defenders in the National Basketball Association for Houston, will be stuck on him all night, glued to him. I think they're going to take the ball out of LaVine's hands, make someone else beat you with that lineup. Maybe Russ has a big night playing his old team. I can't bet on Russell Westbrook. He has sold long shots too many times. So to recap, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Atlanta Clippers tonight, more than 20.5 points for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Jalen Brunson gets back to his scoring ways, more than 29.5 points. Zach LaVine taking on Houston. Amen Thompson shuts him down, less than 18.5 points for Zach LaVine.
Now, can I add one?
Sure. You want to add one?
Okay, and you tell me if I'm crazy about this, but Cooper Flagg all of a sudden has had a little bit of a run here with a couple of good games.
He has.
So Cooper Flagg, who really struggled to start the year and was kind of in that 10 to 15 point hell for a lot of this season, all of a sudden against the Clippers, 35 points, Denver 24 points. Do we trust Cooper Flagg to put up 18 points against the who are they playing today?
The Miami Heat. I'm with that. I'll tell you why I'm with that. I like that selection from you because Cooper Flagg, as you said, kind of came into it. Mavs had a lot of expectations, not playing well early. But the change is they actually had a really impressive win in Denver the other night.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis playing a lot better when AD is more dominant and all the off defensive shifts go to him and Flagg's able to get more one-on-one opportunities. They're figuring out how to use him not as a point guard, as more of a wing player. I like that. Cooper Flagg, more than 17.5 points tonight against the Miami Heat.
He's actually been impressive. He's getting back to a little bit of what he was good at when he was in college. And that's just letting him be a skill position player, not necessarily the guy running the show. I think that's the right choice for him. But if he can get 18 points tonight, that just adds a little bit to the lineup. Sammy, good work on long shots. Coming up in hour number 2, Stan Lazinski is going to be stopping by. He's our fantasy football expert. DynastyPriceCheck.com is where you find him, or Dynasty Price Check anywhere on social media. Big Stan's got your cure to get into the postseason. Fantasy football playoffs for a lot of leagues start next week. Stan's going to make sure you get into your fantasy football playoffs. He's coming up in hour number 2, along with a lot more goodies. Stay tuned. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Chris Paul sent home, longtime Los Angeles Clippers, sent home. The Clippers will be taking on the Atlanta Hawks tonight. Was cut last night. It appears to have a lot of beef with Tyronn Lue. Apparently, the two haven't met in 3 weeks. Other big NBA news: Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent are meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks to discuss his future, whether he should be traded or staying in Milwaukee. It appears the New York Knicks have become the front runners to land him. Save big during Lowe's Black Friday. Get 50% off select major appliances, plus choose select DeWalt 20-volt max drill or impact driver kits for just $99, valid through 12/3/25. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, see Lowe's.com for more details. Oh, shit.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 today. John and Jim will take over then. Get your questions in on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Our fantasy football expert, Stan Lazinski, is going to be coming up in about 30 minutes from right now. Our buddy John commenting on the YouTube stream saying, just copped a ticket for tonight, Fletch. Aztecs at -8.5, so I'm hoping to see a beatdown from the Aztecs. John, going to the Aztecs game tonight. Say hi, man, if you see me. I'll be courtside next to Schaefer during the game. I think pregame, I'm actually going to be out in the little courtyard right outside Viejas Arena. So swing by, say hi, yell something offensive my way. Would love to hear from you out in the real world. But Sammy, you're up in LA today. You're sitting within eyeshot of Petros Papadakis and Matt Money Smith. How's KFI treating you up there, our sister station?
Yeah, they've been good. It's they got the big boy studios up here. Obviously miss San Diego. I did have an LA story last night. I'm eating a dinner at a place in Pasadena, and I'm sitting there having a few drinks with my parents, and one of the Beastie Boys, Ad Rock, happens to walk right by this Mexican restaurant in Pasadena. Had a few brews, you could tell, and was just sitting in the parking lot talking to people for a while. I gotta say, I kind of nerded out. I was like, that this is like a hero. It's like Ad Rock. This is the Beastie Boys, man. And it's just having some cocktails on a Tuesday night at Mahari's in Pasadena. So it's been a good trip so far.
Did you ask him if he needed any maybe sleeping pills or anything? Because it sounds like he doesn't sleep at all on his way to Brooklyn sometimes.
I like that. I didn't tell Ben this story before, so that was a pure on the spot little pun. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm just curious if he was able to get enough sleep.
I thought about he was with his family. I thought about just walking by and being like, I wanted the waiter so bad to go, so what you want? That would have been like a golden opportunity, but I don't know how that would have went over.
The Beastie Boys are rad, dude. I feel like they're a little underrated as well, but a lot of their music kicks ass, and that's a cool little story from Sammy Long. You know, here in San Diego, we also have a lot of celebrities that walk around on a daily basis. Alex Morgan, running to her all the time. So it's San Diego Sports 760.
Oh, really? You just run into Alex Morgan all the time?
We probably are going to run into her next week. She's heavily involved with our Rady Children's Give-a-thon here on iHeart Radio San Diego. And so, LA's not all that cool, Sammy. It's pretty cool down here too. Just saying. All right. Speaking of LA, the Clippers made national news here today. And so I'm not sure on all the particulars on this, but apparently Ty Lue and LA Clippers royalty, Chris Paul, have not been on speaking terms this entire season. Well, that's kind of awkward because Chris Paul is in fact on the Clippers, but not anymore. Because last night the Clippers told him to get lost, kick rocks, get the hell out. And Sammy, what's the insight here? Why are the Clippers moving away from one of the franchise's most beloved players, literally the king of Lob City, Chris Paul?
It's kind of getting the story today. So he went on Instagram last night and said he was not with the Clippers. Now the Clippers have been on a road trip. They're in Atlanta tonight taking on the Hawks. So pretty lame that the Clippers actually cut him on the road. One of their longtime stars, one of the best Clippers in Clipper history, will certainly be in the rafters up there in the Intuit Dome. It was so apparently him and Tyronn Lue, head coach of the Clippers, not on speaking terms. Chris Paul allegedly asked for a meeting to kind of resolve some of this. Tyronn Lue wouldn't even meet with them. Like, weird situation. I think the thing here is, like, so the Clippers are getting killed today for how they handled it. And I agree. I think it's pretty weak that Chris Paul was in his farewell tour, by the way, his final year. The Clippers are awful. They're not going to the playoffs as of right now. They've been one of the worst teams in the NBA through the first month and a half of the season. to kind of throw him out with the bathwater is a little foul to me. Now, I do think there's a larger conversation with, like, again, if there's someone that's going to come in and actually help the Clippers win and get the season back on track, I think that's more important if you're a Clipper fan over than just keeping the legacy of Chris Paul. But it does feel like this could have been handled much differently. And if this is a personal vendetta between Tyronn Lue and Chris Paul, it feels pretty weak to me.
All right, so the way I see it is this. Chris Paul was with the Clippers during those. Blake Griffin, was it DeAndre Jordan, the other one?
Oh, yeah, Lob City,
Lob City,
Reddick, great teams.
Legendary teams. And the one time that the Clippers were actually super relevant for positive stuff was when Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin and JJ Redick were winning dunk contests. We're having this highlight reel worthy plays every night in and night out. Like, the one time you look back on the Clippers over the last couple of decades and say, oh, that team was badass, was that team with Chris Paul. So in a lot of ways, you could say Chris Paul is essentially to the Clippers what Kobe was to the Lakers, although a lack of championships, but their best shot at one was when Chris Paul was there. Sammy, I think you mentioned it earlier. There's going to be a statue of Chris Paul at some point outside of the Intuit Dome, and I don't think that's far-fetched. I think that's absolutely possible. So even if, much like Lakers with Kobe in his final season, wasn't necessarily a good team, but you got to go around the country with Kobe being able to say his goodbye. That's what this contract was for Chris Paul. And the fact that they are just saying, oh yeah, kick rocks, Chris, when you're in Atlanta, Chris Paul means a lot more to the Los Angeles Clippers than Ty Lue will ever mean to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Completely.
So how are you not at least giving him a little bit of love on his way out the door? I don't know what Chris Paul did to deserve this, assuming that this is in some part a two-way street here between Ty Lue and Chris Paul. But the fact that this is happening shows some dysfunction all the way at the top.
I know we're getting the big three right now, but it is like Chris Paul. I would understand not how they handled it. I think it's pretty weak that they fired him on or cut him on a road trip for the guy with that much pedigree. But I would understand more if they had the Lakers record of 15-5 and they're behind Oklahoma City, but they're a real contender in the Western Conference. And there's a free agent out there that you're going to go, hey, this can actually improve our team. The team is awful. I mean, the team is one of the worst teams in the NBA so far this season. It's filled with a bunch of veterans. It's the oldest average age of a team in the NBA at 30. That just goes to show that they don't have a lot of young talent on the team. To just do this to one of your franchise legends is pretty astounding to me that this would come down from the top.
All right, get your questions in on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. If you got fantasy football, start sit questions the week before the postseason begins in a lot of fantasy football leagues. Get them in now. Stan Lazinski is going to be joining us coming up at 1:30, but right now it is time for the big three. We'll see if I can get this to work this time properly. Sammy, you ready for your big three?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get it ripping.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Things are a little different today. Sammy's up in Los Angeles doing some work for our Kogo station down here in San Diego. So he's there. I'm here. I'm running the board. That's why things have been a little disjointed. But Sammy, where are we going with the big three?
Right into, we haven't hit on the college football playoff rankings today. So big rankings dropped last night. Last one before all the championship games this weekend. So the big kind of story was two things. The question is this. So Alabama actually rises in the rankings from barely beating Auburn in Auburn. Pretty crazy game. Auburn really had that one. They fumbled there at the end. Alabama didn't look great, but they rose in the rankings. And then the other kind of big thing is Notre Dame is above Miami, despite having the same record at 10-2, in Miami beating them in week one of the college football playoff or of the college football season. What's a bigger snub to you? Alabama raising in the rankings despite a really ugly performance in Auburn, or Notre Dame being ranked above Miami despite the head-to-head win going Miami's way?
I do feel like a lot of this comes down, and unfortunately the way it panned out, Notre Dame, massive fan base, and a ton of people who can't stand Notre Dame. I was raised to hate Notre Dame by my grandfather. And then Alabama, the SEC is ESPN's darling. So I think a lot of this falls down to the fact that the ACC doesn't necessarily always have the apple of ESPN's eye. And I think that a lot of what goes into this, unfortunately, the people get proven right in this scenario, which there are favorable reasons to move Alabama up, to move Notre Dame up, and to maybe keep a team like Miami down a little bit. Wasn't there drama last year with Miami just missing out also? So you look at everything as it's encompassed, and you kind of say man, ESPN, you really don't care, and you're making this a little bit undeniable at this point. But sure, I guess the things that are close, if it's close even a little bit, Alabama's going to get the edge. A team like Notre Dame will get the edge because of one thing and one thing only, Sammy. It rhymes with honey. What is it?
Ratings.
Money, which rhymes with honey. But yeah, ratings also. So nice work on that one. What do you think about it?
Ratings lead to money. It's a weird thing. I agree with everything you said about Alabama. Massive fan base. Notre Dame, one of the biggest fan bases in all college football. But in terms of this, Miami is also a powerhouse in terms of a massive market. I will give the committee credit for this. They did not move Texas into the college football playoff, who I don't think deserves to be there. I know that Sark's making the case that, hey, we have 3 losses, but we took a chance and played Ohio State week 1. We didn't have to in a non-conference game, except you still lost the game. I think what it comes down to, I don't think Alabama should have rose, but I really think it's crazy that Miami is ranked below Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a damn good football team. Their 2 biggest wins of the year was they destroyed Pitt and they beat USC at home. But head-to-head wins have to count for something. Like Miami, and I don't want to hear the argument. We hear this in college basketball. We hear this in college football. Well, it happened at the beginning of the year. Okay, so what's the point of scheduling big games at the beginning of the year if that's not going to matter? Miami beat them head-to-head. That should count for something. And honestly, I think Miami's resume has been better this year. I think they probably both should be in. I think there's some teams like you're going to have a Power 5 school, probably James Madison getting in. But I think it's crazy that just because Notre Dame, quote, looks better recently, that you're going to have them in over Miami for having the exact same record in a head-to-head win going the Hurricanes' way.
Now, did you see earlier today, Diego Pavia, who's the quarterback at Vanderbilt, tweeted at President Trump to try to get him to sign an executive order to extend it to 16 teams? Now, it's very funny, and that's a hilarious thing for a college football quarterback with a ton of NIL money to put out on the internet. But when you look at it, the argument for 16 teams is pretty good this year because I think it'd be a more compelling field because then there's no longer questions about a team like Miami or Texas or Vanderbilt or USC for that matter. Like when you look at it, 16 for this year at least might actually be the number that it should be.
To that point, in terms of talking about ratings money, they would love, college football would love nothing more than to have Miami in, Texas in, USC, along with Notre Dame, along with Alabama, all these teams. Those are big brands. And the whole debate would be who's back? Is SC back? Is Miami back? Is Texas back? All these programs that used to be dominant 20, 30 years ago that haven't had quite the same success. It's a shame that a couple teams get left out. And Vanderbilt's one of them. Texas, SC had some big losses, but they're on the outside looking in. Like I agree. It should be a 16-team playoff. I hope they expand here soon and don't just keep kicking the can down the road.
Now, I will never root for Ohio State in my life, but I'm glad Ohio State kind of kicked the crap out of Michigan because that snuffs out any argument that Michigan should even be considered this year.
Right. Because they were going to have, the interesting thing was had SC beat Oregon and Michigan had beat Ohio State.
Right.
You have the same thing that Miami and Notre Dame have with SC beating Michigan head-to-head, but what matters more, a win in Oregon or a win against Ohio State, but neither team
not
won.
Just beating them, but kind of curb stomping them after the first quarter. That was big for college football this year. All right, Sammy, what's next?
We're going to revisit the biggest stories of the day. So Giannis and his agent are meeting with the Bucks, possibly on his way out of Milwaukee. They're looking at the best kind of discourse. Apparently, he would love to go to the Knicks, but reports are that Milwaukee has hesitations of trading him in the Eastern Conference. If you are the Los Angeles Lakers, Fletch, I know you said earlier the San Antonio Spurs. I think that would be a logical landing space that would be able to get him. If Austin Reeves, who's been averaging 29, 8, and 7, is the core piece of the deal, would you say pack your bags? Or if you're the Lakers, would you wait for the offseason to try to keep Reeves and try to do a more package-based, picks-based trade?
Maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm a little old school, but you brought up the fact that earlier today that I stopped rooting for the Golden State Warriors once they got Kevin Durant, and I promise that's the 100% God's honest truth. Don't you feel like the Lakers could take a little bit of pride in knowing that Austin Reeves is one of the guys that they developed, and he could be part of the group that leads you to a championship? Now, comes with that, you already have Luka on this team. But the Lakers could dodge some narratives if they get to an NBA championship with Luka, Reeves, LeBron, and with guys like DeAndre Ayton having a little bit of an upstart year. and not have to bring in a Giannis. And that is old school thinking, by the way. That's beat him with what you got already, not necessarily adding to this team. I feel like it'd be a lot cooler for the Lakers if Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic are the two guys who can lead you to this championship, and you don't have to rely on a Giannis, even though that would make life a lot easier.
If you're the Lakers and there's an offer to get Giannis and Luka, you have to do it. But
of course, but it's kind of weak.
To the point about, I don't know if it's weak, but I'd say about Austin Reeves, it would be a shame to where, and maybe he's a core piece of the deal next year, even if it's in the offseason. I'm sure that would be the first one, but Austin Reeves would be a free agent. So who knows if he wants to sign back with Milwaukee. The Lakers have to do a sign and trade. It would be a shame to what you're saying, though, that Austin Reeves, who was undrafted, Oklahoma, signs with the Lakers. Lakers was his favorite team growing up, is becoming a star. Like, he's legit becoming a superstar. He's the second best player on the team after Luka. Like, I'm sorry, like LeBron's fantastic, but at this stage of his career, Austin Reeves is playing better in the limited action they've both seen on the floor together. It does feel like a little bit of a shame to give up on Reeves this early when he's gonna go be a star wherever he goes. But if you have the ability to pair Luka and Giannis, I mean, you instantly become favorites in the Western Conference. I don't know who can guard that, but it'll be. I'm curious to see if the Bucks are going to say New York is going to be the spot. If they go, there's no way in hell we're trading him to New York. That's, I think, the storyline that's going to develop if they're going to blacklist him from the East.
It's going to be interesting. Giannis may be wearing some new clothes here coming up in the next couple of weeks. All right, coming up next, Padres ownership in turmoil. Is someone swinging in to save the day? Well, we got a new name. Let's talk about it on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Join San Diego Sports 760, ESET, SeaWorld, Cable Pipe and Leak Detection, and Crowley Car Company to support Rady Children's Hospital this holiday season. On Tuesday, December 9th and Wednesday, December 10th, you're going to hear stories of hope and healing from Rady Children's patients and families during the iHeart Rady Children's Give-a-thon. Make a donation today by texting sports to 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/give-a-thon. That's going to be next Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have stories all day long here on San Diego Sports 760 of hope and healing. My two favorite days of the year, man. It's 2 days where we make a big impact here in San Diego, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for families to be able to check into Rady Children's Hospital, no matter what their financial situation is. So make sure you're tuned in next week and help us out as we look to raise or break another record and raise a few $100,000 here in San Diego. Blows me away every single year how generous our listeners are, how this community comes together to support something that is very, very important here in San Diego, and that is Rady Children's Hospital. All right, San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. Coming up in about 10 minutes, Stan Lazinski is going to be here. Tons of fantasy football questions already on YouTube, but get some more in here as we get you a fantasy football expert, a rising rocket ship in the world of fantasy football, Stan Lazinski, who's going to be on with us in just a few minutes here. But right now, I did want to take a minute and focus on the future of the San Diego Padres, because all of a sudden out of the SF Chronicle and all of a sudden out of NBC7 here in San Diego and a bunch of different other publications, we're seeing news that potentially, maybe, and this is all total speculation, but Joe Lacob, who owns the Golden State Warriors, could be interested in buying the San Diego Padres. That is if the Padres actually go up for sale. Now, backstory on Joe Lacob, he is the owner of the Golden State Warriors, also has a WNBA team up in the Bay Area. Tried a couple years ago to buy the Oakland Athletics, and I said Oakland Athletics for a reason, because part of him buying them was to, in fact, keep them in the Bay Area and keep them in Oakland. Could Joe Lacob, who's worth $2.3 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood, be interested in not only buying the San Diego Padres, but buying the Padres and leading them to a World Series? Sammy, you and I talked about this earlier. You said it could potentially be the best thing to ever happen to the Padres.
I really do think so. And I know people have kind of said on Twitter or X or whatever, talking about how he wouldn't be one of the richest MLB owners. And you brought up the point, Walter bought the Lakers for $10 billion and he's worth 2.3. So it's a little bit different ballpark. But something he said, he was being interviewed and he talks about, he's like, the only thing I'm interested in my relationships is winning. Like, that's like when you've tasted success, the Golden State Warriors have been the gold standard of the NBA for the last 10 years, 10 to 15 years. I mean, they have been what everyone else has been trying to become in the NBA. And when you're used to winning like that, I think if you're going to buy another professional sports team, this is not an interest in just, oh, okay, it's cool, I own the Padres and whatever, I'll just keep them in San Diego and they can do whatever they want. Like, in knowing, again, that your direct competition is the Dodgers, and there's a lot of critique of the Dodgers spend more money than everyone, and the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets, and it's an uneven playing field. You're only going to get into this business, by the way, with a lockout coming, if that's so, which everyone is expecting it to be, if you're interested in winning ball games. And hearing him talk, like, we didn't hear that from John Seidler. We heard it from Peter Seidler. Peter Seidler was about winning in this city, and he put his money where his mouth was, because he said it and he backed it up. He wouldn't even say the Dodgers name 2 hours north, and that's why San Diego loved him for it. John Seidler, just because they shared the same last name, did not share that same vision, and that's why we never heard from him. He barely did any press conferences. Hearing if Lacob's the guy to get it, I just think, even though he may not be the richest owner that could come in for the Padres, this is a guy who was interested in winning. So looking at possible investors, that's what you want to hear as for San Diego as a Padre fan. And early returns, if it is him, I would be A-okay on the move.
Now, just because I know the area pretty well and I know the fan base pretty well of the San Francisco Giants and the Golden State Warriors, lots of crossover there. Now, for a long time, it was if you were an A's fan, you were a Warriors fan, and then all of a sudden the Warriors became cool because the Warriors moved into Chase Arena inside of San Francisco. They moved out of Oakland, where they actually shared a parking lot. The Oracle Arena shared a parking lot with where the A's played their games at the Coliseum. So it was very cool to be a Raiders, A's, Warriors fan in the early 2000s. And then all of a sudden something shifted. And it happened when Joe Lacob took ownership, actually, and moved the Warriors inside San Francisco. And then all of a sudden you had this weird crossover between Giants and Warriors fans, where the Giants were winning a bunch of World Series. Then right after that, the Warriors started winning a bunch of NBA championships. I would imagine, just throwing this out there, that if Joe Lacob were to buy a team in the same division as the San Francisco Giants, the fan base of the San Francisco Giants would be incredibly pissed off. So I would imagine that would be a giant fence for Joe Lacob to have to jump over before even considering buying the San Diego Padres. And even if in his true heart's desire, all he wants to do is buy a Major League Baseball team to get in there and start competing in baseball and prove that not only he can do it in basketball, but he can jump to another sport and do it elsewhere as well, there's something that has to be considered there. And when you start stacking everything up, the fact that if you buy the Padres, you're automatically assuming hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, because that's what the Padres are in right now, as well as the cost of the team, as well as potentially losing some fans of one of your already current investments. There's a lot stacked against Joe Lacob buying the Padres.
But to that point, and I think that's an interesting point about how it would be maybe, I think people will get over it. I don't think people are going to stop being Warrior fans because they own the Padres. But if you are going to get in a division with your rival, to the point of the Giants, and the Giants and Dodgers and Padres all don't like each other, and we all know that history there. If you're going to jump over that fence, if you're going to take on the amount of debt that it's going to take, meanwhile with a lockout looming, so you're not going to be making money for a little while here, the mindset would be to take over all that, would be to, I'm going to try to win championships, because just doing it, Lacob's doing fine financially. This is not a problem where, Joe Lacob needs money or needs to invest in something. If you're going to jump through all those hurdles and possibly piss off people in the Bay, don't you think his sole goal is going to be to make the San Diego Padres a World Series perennial contender?
Absolutely. I think if he does it, he would be all in on that, what you just said, and making them a perennial contender. I'm saying the reason he won't do it is what I was laying out there. Rich guys don't get rich by being dumb. And if you have this Golden State Warriors, which you would imagine for the next couple of decades with that new arena, which is freaking fantastic and isn't just for basketball anymore. Now it's this huge event center, but you have that new arena, which is going to be printing you cash for a while now. Why would you potentially knock off some of your top spending fans? Which it could do. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it could do. And just because I know that area and I know those fan bases, they're not a particularly forgiving fan base.
Totally hear what you're saying. I would say, though, there are a lot of owners in this league that own like a hockey team at a different place. And I get the point of that the Giants and Padres don't like each other. That would be like, the Walter family. Or so
it would be like trading Saquon Barkley from the Giants to an interdivision team in the Eagles.
Right.
And how did that work out for Giants?
It would be like Dean Spanos buying the Padres. People would be like, screw this guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that people would think, because it's so, vice versa. But I do think that Lacob, hearing him, I think it would be the right move.
Stan Lazinski's coming up next. He's our fantasy football expert. Get your questions in on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. That's on the other side.
This report is sponsored by Mission Fed Credit Union. San Diego State basketball back on the Mesa tonight. That game will be at 7 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760 with Schaefer on the call. Fletch will get you going with the pregame starting at 6. They're currently 8.5-point favorites over Utah Valley. The point total is set at 144.5. And big news out of the NFL, Justin Herbert, who sustained a hand injury last week during the Raider game, he did come back and finish the game. He is not practicing ahead of their Monday Night Football showdown against the Philadelphia Eagles live from LA. Saving shouldn't be stressful. Mission Fed makes it easier with great rates on savings, certificates, and ultra money market accounts. Grow your money the smart way. Check the latest rates and open an account at missionfed.com. Membership and account criteria apply.
San Diego Sports 760. Like Sammy just told you, I will be back with you at 6 o'clock tonight, getting you ready for San Diego State and Utah Valley. A big one for the Aztecs tonight at Viejas Arena. Tickets still available at goaztecs.com. And by the way, coming up tomorrow, we're going to have a couple of Aztecs basketball tickets to give out for next week's matchup against Lamar. But right now we bring on our fantasy football expert. His name is Stan Lazinski. He owns dynastypricecheck.com, also operates it, one of the fastest rising stars in the world of fantasy football. Stan, how are you?
I'm doing great, my guys. How's everybody doing today?
We're good, man. Playoff time right around the corner for fantasy football. This is the time where we separate the men from the boys, the cream from the crop. And Stan, we're going to start with this one from our buddy Mac Daddy on YouTube. He asked us this question earlier. Sammy and I answered it. We may have been a little bit ruthless, but I want to get your view on it. Mac Daddy says, how do you guys feel about purposefully losing this week so your buddy can make it to the playoffs? Is that unsportsmanlike and bad karma or even collusion? Stan?
Woo, I'm not going to lie. That feels like some collusion to me.
Thank you.
I think I'd be pretty upset with that one. Now, I understand being a good friend, and props to you for really putting in the effort there, but that smells like collusion.
All right. I agree. And I say try to knock your friend out because that's funnier. Tice the Dice 03 says, got 2 fantasy football questions for you. We'll start with just one, Stan. Do I go with ETN or Chris Rod Jr. this week?
I think I'm going to lean Etienne. Now, it's definitely a tougher matchup against this Indianapolis Colts, but I do believe since the Jaguars are fighting so tight for a playoff spot here that they are going to be locked in. The Colts are banged up a little bit in the injury department. Could be a sneaky play for Travis this week, so I'm going to lean that direction.
Tice also asking, should he pick up Jake Ferguson on waivers for Hunter Henry? He said he already has Brock Bowers, so not sure it totally matters.
Oof, I guess it doesn't matter too much. This is a spoil of riches, my friend, but I don't think Jake Ferguson should be on your waiver wire, so it feels weird rostering 3 tight ends like that, but I'm going to tell you to do it.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Our buddy SD Tyler texting in, and we got Stan Lazinski on the line, our fantasy football expert, dynastypricecheck.com. Tyler says, do I start Mooney or Pitts in place of London, or do I drop Mooney for Brenton Strange or Jordan Addison?
Whew. Well, here's the thing. We know Kirk Cousins loves some Darnell Mooney action. So if Drake London does not suit up, you are absolutely playing Darnell Mooney. Now, if it does look like Drake London is going to suit up and you're feeling a little bit unsure about the risk of it, I have absolutely no issue throwing Brenton Strange in. That Jacksonville offense has been humming, and he has been seeing some pretty consistent target production from Trevor Lawrence.
Not Jammin' B says, should I trade Jay Jettas for Jamison Williams in a redraft league?
Oof, this is a brutal one because I do believe that next week that Jamison Williams you're actually tomorrow. We're starting the next match week tomorrow. I do think that Jamison Williams is going to comfortably outscore Justin Jefferson this week. So if this is a 1-week trade, then I can give you my buy-in. But the rest of the season, I still feel hesitant to say yes. Let's go ahead and hold Justin Jefferson and pray that the playoffs look better on him.
All right. Stan Lazinski, our fantasy football expert, dynastypricecheck.com with us. Our buddy Rich going on YouTube saying DeAndre Swift went off last week, but now he's at Green Bay this week. Should he sit over the likes of Travis Etienne or Vidal for the Chargers playing at home?
You know, I would sit him for Etienne personally. I do think that he will see a higher level of workload like I alluded to because of the Jaguars' very close playoff push here. But the tough part with Swift and Monangai is it looks like Ben Johnson is going to carry on with his predetermined motion of the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, two-headed monster backfield. And so I could see DeAndre Swift and Monangai both giving you comfortable flex or RB2 production even throughout the playoffs. But let's roll out Travis this week.
Mac Daddy's asking, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen playing each other this week. What quarterback you rolling with?
Oof. I mean, it's going to be a great and entertaining matchup between the slingers. I would still lean Josh Allen simply for the rushing upside here.
How about Kincaid or Strange this week?
Whew. Now, if Kincaid is fully healthy and good to go, I think I'm going to lean Kincaid, as he has looked like Josh Allen's primary pass catching option in the building with no true alpha at the receiver position.
T. Higgins or Monty? Where are you leaning there?
I'm going to go T. Higgins on that one. T. Higgins on that one. Assuming he gets cleared out of his concussion issues and is good to go, we're gonna suit up T. Higgins here.
All right, and Stan, you're talking about, because fantasy football playoffs literally start next week. I think this is the last week teams are on bye. Some leagues are starting them this week, which I feel is asinine and unright, because you might have Christian McCaffrey on a playoff team get bounced in the first week. But for players who are heading into their playoffs and maybe they have a little bit of a bye this week because they already secured their spot. Once you get into the postseason, what's the thought process for you? Are you going to trust the people that you got to the postseason with, or are you going to be able to go matchup dependent and maybe sit somebody who's been solid for you all year long?
Yeah, now I think matchup definitely needs to come into play at this point in the season. And I think the other thing that needs to come into play more than matchup is the team positioning. And when I talk about team positioning, I talk about understanding the stakes of the real life NFL and what is happening. When we're talking about Travis Etienne here, like you've been asking me in a few of these questions, you're looking at a Jacksonville Jaguars team that is absolutely in the running to make the playoffs and lock the Texans out here. They control their own destiny. So teams that are fighting actively for playoff contention in real life can definitely translate over to your fantasy production, because they are going to have a hell of a lot more to play with than the teams that are already knocked. I think a perfect example of that is your Kansas City Chiefs players on fantasy right now. I mean, if you're talking about guys like Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, all these, this is absolutely the time where the Chiefs could miss the playoffs for the first time in a decade. And if you don't think that they are gassing up and suiting up and trying to put everything they have forward, moving here, I think you got to take that into conversation when you're making your fantasy football decisions.
Meza Medina's asking, do you trust Lamar Jackson coming off the injury? Hasn't looked great the last few weeks, or Jordan Love after his performance last Thursday night or Thursday morning?
Oof, this is a brutal one. Here's what I'm going to say, and I hate to sit on the fence too much, but I've been saying the same thing in some of my live streams this week. If you are projected to win this week and it looks like a comfortable matchup for you, and you've got a Jordan Love, a Jared Goff, a Matthew Stafford to play over Lamar Jackson, then I'm going to go ahead and do it, right? Because Lamar has been quite volatile, and since he's dealing with the injury, I do actually think that, that is impacting his rushing upside. Now, that all being said, the perennial MVP, the guy that could win you any matchup, any given week, regardless of how cold he has been in the recent ones. If you are not projected to win and you need to take a Hail Mary shot, let's suit up Lamar Jackson and pray that he finds those running legs this week.
Meza Medina also asking, if Amon-Ra somehow plays tomorrow, do you play him or sit him?
No, we're sitting Amon-Ra. I think if anything, he's going to be a decoy tomorrow. I don't know why you'd risk him with the Lions potentially, gearing up for a playoff appearance and berth as well. So personally, I think you roll Jameson Williams, and as a really deep flex play, some of my waiver wire ads this week, Isaac Tesla might be one of those guys that you consider rolling out.
Stan, you ever mess with any daily fantasy stuff? Would you be going heavy on Jameson Williams this week?
I would be. I personally think, especially if Amon-Ra is sitting here and they absolutely rule him out, Jameson Williams could be the boom of the week. This guy, as you've seen, can somehow score you 27 fantasy points on 3 targets sometimes. What if he sees 11? Let's just put that seed out there and let it grow.
Stan, I'm curious. We've had a lot of talk this week about collusion in fantasy football leagues. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're in a lot of fantasy football leagues. What is the most egregious trade or collusion job you have seen in your tenured fantasy football career?
Whew, this is a tough one. I think the biggest stage of collusion that I've witnessed, especially since I play in dynasty leagues, which, as we discussed, is, multi-season. You draft your team once and you hold it forever. I've watched teams lend players to each other. That's a quick way to get yourself barred from the league. Basically saying, hey, I'll do this trade. And then the trade will go through, while the player's on bye. And then next week, the trade goes right back through again. And as soon as I see that and see that was just a 1 week rental, you're kicked, friends. That's too much collusion for me. But I see it happen more often than you might think. People think they're clever.
Yeah, it's great. Stan's job, by the way, dynastypricecheck.com, you can sign up to have Stan manage your team to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of in trades, to make sure that he is taking advantage of your fellow league mates in trades. Stan Lazinski will run your league for you if you want him to. And Stan, you offer that up at dynastypricecheck.com, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you guys are over this fantasy thing and you're saying, hey, next season, I need an expert in there to take over my team, win me the league, clown on all my friends, you know where to find it.
Stan Lazinski, dynastypricecheck.com. What time are you going live today, Stan?
Ben, we are actually live right now, live streaming the behind the scenes of San Diego Sports 760 Radio. We've got over 60 viewers over on TikTok. We got another 20 on Twitch, and we've got another 50 over on the Tube. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and go on and check out the Fletch Zone here for all of your sports needs, as they're going to keep you up to date with everything good going on in California.
Hey, Stan Lazinski listeners, come join us. Screw Stan. You don't need him. You want to be over here. That's where we want to be. I'm kidding. Stan Lazinski's the best. DPC After Dark as well. So go check him out. Stan Lazinski, Dynasty Price Check. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right, dude's a rocket ship. We're just happy we caught onto the tail of him.
To go, man.
On the way up, baby. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Coming up next, we will close this thing out, let you know about a surprise giveaway that's going to be hitting the airwaves tomorrow. And Sammy's going to sign off from up there in KFI Studios, our bitter rival,
Are we rivals with KFI?
Yeah, I want you to go throw some laxatives in Petros Papadakis' coffee or something.
Petros them are on 570. We got 570 over at KFI. Yeah, we the old P.
Oh yeah, KFI's the news station, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, what's your beef with KFI?
No beef with KFI. It's 570 is the one we got beef with. Yeah, we're gonna because that's the station that David Vassay is on.
Yes, I know. I think David Vassay is roaming around these halls right now.
David Vassay, I don't need to talk to that guy until hopefully the Dodgers get knocked out of the postseason next year. All right, quick break here on the other side. We'll close this thing out at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 for a final time today. It's Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long. Do want to extend a thank you to everybody that joined us today. We appreciate the hell out of you each and every single day. My name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. Sammy is a gambling expert, some might say. He is a diehard Laker fan and Kansas City Chief fan, aka the front runners of his lifetime. And I love the Niners, but I love me some San Diego State Aztecs as well. So does Sammy. He's an alumni from San Diego State, and we'll be back on the air a little bit later on today. I'll be with you at 6 o'clock, getting you ready for San Diego State and Utah Valley at Viejas Arena. John Schaefer, of course, will have the tip off of that one coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. Now, funny enough, coming up tomorrow on this same show from noon to 2, we have 2 pairs of tickets to give away for Aztec basketball Viejas Arena next week when they take on Lamar. So make sure you're listening tomorrow as well. But Sammy, I was hearing Dan Patrick's little promo there, and he was talking about Lane Kiffin. He was talking about the Penn State opening, and it kind of clicked in my head for a second there. What if, because Penn State's getting smashed today, because today was National Signing Day, so that's why Lane Kiffin, by the way, took the job at LSU when he took it, was to make sure that National Signing Day, he was in place, and that people who maybe were thinking about either going to LSU or going to some of these other schools went with LSU because Lane Kiffin was there, which I don't blame him for. But what if Penn State, the reason they still don't have a head coach is because they were also all in on Lane Kiffin, and they maybe thought that they were going to bring him over in time for this National Signing Day.
Maybe. I haven't heard any reporting on that. It just came out pre-ESPN that apparently Florida State was the other team that no one was really talking about that made a late push for Kiffin. I don't really know what Penn State's doing. I mean, they tried to get Sataki, which would have been a good hire. That would have been interesting.
Well, you fire James Franklin when you fire him, so you could get a head start on this head coach process.
Like they're getting, as you said in the National Signing Day, they're getting crushed because why, if you're a high school recruit, if you're a top high school recruit, would you want to go play at Penn State? You don't know the coaches coming in. You don't know any of this when you could go to any other Big Ten school or SEC. Yeah, it's almost like the Lane Kiffin saga has taken up so much at all these other schools that lost out are kind of SOL. Like they're kind of like, I mean, Florida moved and got Summerall, which was a good hire for them. Penn State, I don't know what they're doing. I'm surprised that they haven't placed a call to Brian Daboll. That seems like the next legitimate option because every top tier head coach in college football is either locked up. Signetti got an extension. Matt Rule got an extension. Lincoln Riley's not going anywhere. They just got the #1 recruiting class at SC. Lane Kiffin's not going there. So it's like, I'm assuming it's the NFL, and I'm looking at Brian Daboll. Maybe they're waiting on Mike Tomlin. They've been through that out today, but that feels like that's not even going to come for another month if they get eliminated from the postseason. So I don't really know what Penn State's doing in terms of a national picture and forecast.
Well, I would imagine they're not going to be ranked #2 heading into next season, and that's exactly where they were heading into this season. All right, college hoops tonight here on San Diego Sports 760. It's San Diego State. It's Utah Valley. Look, you go to Vegas, and it's a huge opportunity going to that Vegas tournament because it truly is some of the best teams across the country all lumped into one. And unfortunately, you might have faced the best team in the country in your first game in Las Vegas, which is Michigan. And they win by 40. San Diego State loses by 40. And then you have a really great game against Oregon, and then you kind of fall apart in the last few minutes against Baylor, and Baylor gets the win. So you leave Vegas with 2 losses instead of 2 wins like you did a year ago. Now, a year ago, Vegas was the thing that buoyed them into the NCAA tournament. This year, it's going to start off, at least, as a bit of a hindrance. So the Aztecs fall deep down in the net rankings, and now tonight starts the climb back up. Utah Valley, not an easy opponent whatsoever. They've had a nice season with some nice wins. I'll tell you all about them coming up later tonight at 6 o'clock. But this is going to be this moment for San Diego State where they can either lean into it and really start forward on a fresh new path, or they can maybe fall further behind the 8 ball. But we'll see later tonight. Sammy, good stuff today. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody else, you're in the hands of John Schaefer now. He's going to do a great job with you. I promise you that. Jim Russell as well. It's San Diego Sports 760. We'll see you tomorrow.